Hello and welcome. Earlier this week I got a chance to see this movie right here, The Greatest Showman with Hugh Jackman, and it was amazing. I thought I would do a little piece on it, but I also thought I would look at the life of P.T. Barnum, and I just related to it on a visceral level, and I think you will too if you're the person I think you are, and you're interested in the business. You're interested in the field, you're interested in the art. There's no better person, I think, to study than P.T. Barnum. And this film was amazing. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the film later. This right here is a photograph of P.T. Barnum with one of his showmen. It was Charles Sherwood Stratton is the name of this guy right here. Also known as General Tom Thumb. He plays prominently in the film. P.T. Barnum was born Phineas Taylor Barnum, born July 5th, 1810, and he crossed over on April 7th, 1891. His life is an inspiration for me. Some people consider him the father of show business. I'm not sure I would go that far. But certainly his contributions to show business and to the circus, the Barnum and Bailey Circus, most certainly. But what inspires me about P.T. Barnum was the way his life, he started out without anything. He started out in poverty, and he built his show, he built his reputation, he built his business against the wave of naysayers. And that's something I really wanted to speak to in this particular video. Whenever you make up your mind that you're going to do something, there's going to be a lot of people standing in line to tell you you can't. And if you listen to them, if you listen to that voice instead of your own, you are not going to do what you came here to do. Here's what I believe, and I don't want to, this is a magic vlog, and I don't want to get too far into the esoteric, but I'm a person of faith, and I have particular beliefs, and they influence what I do, and they influence who I am. They influence how I perform. So I think maybe it helps to talk about it sometimes. So I believe that we all come here. We all come to this earth plane to accomplish something for a particular mission. Now the mission might be very simple. It might be to develop a character trait that we lack. It might be to strengthen something that we don't have. It's always about character, as opposed to things or material things. And material things pass. The one thing about this life, as distinct from the next, is that everything in this life is temporal. Everything. If you think that this is permanent, there's no such thing as permanence on this side of the veil. Permanence is on the other side. I think that human beings are made with a desire for permanence, with a desire for eternity, because we are eternal beings. But on this side of the veil, we are not. On this side of the veil, everything is temporal. Everything is passing away. And so the things that really last, the things that last into eternity are the qualities of our character that we develop. And we develop those qualities by persevering. Persevering against naysayers. Persevering against the odds. That's what P.T. Barnum did. He lost his job. He was poor. Over and over again, he stared an option in the face. He could have taken a chance, or he could have backed off. Every time he chose to take a chance. Sometimes he won, and sometimes he didn't. Let me tell you something about me just a little bit. There are three main passions in my life. This vlog is about magic, and that's one of my main passions. I also am a writer. I have 2 novels published. I have a nonfiction that I'm working on. I'm also a speaker or a minister. As a writer, I remember my first novel, The Mentor's Gift. I sent that novel to 50 publishers. 50 publishers. All 50 publishers, by the way, wrote me back. That's significant in my mind. Some of them wrote me back personally and gave me tips and pointers. They said, look, if you would do this or that or the other thing to this novel, we'd be glad to publish it for you. Or they said, you know, we're interested in this, but not right now. And some people said just plain no, I'm not interested. But the fact is, I sent it to 50 publishers. I got 50 responses. Every one of them turned me down for one reason or another. Some of them were provisional, but everyone turned me down. And then I sent the book to 25 agents. Not a single agent replied to me. And to me, that was, I didn't like that. I'd rather get a rejection than not a reply at all. Not a single agent replied, and I think that's because agents are only interested in a done deal. In other words, if I went to an agent and said, I have a contract with this publisher, and will you help me negotiate a better deal, they'd be glad to step in. But I did not get a single response from an agent. I ended up publishing the book, and when I saw the cover, when I was sent the cover design and I looked at it for the first time, I'll tell you, that was an emotionally moving experience for me. I had wanted to publish a novel for as far back as I can remember. This was the fulfillment of a dream, and it was moving. Let me move on to a little bit. When I was 14, I had a religious experience. Some would call it a born-again experience. Call it whatever you want. It was a religious experience, and from that moment on, I was a highly dedicated person. Now, I've been doing magic since I was 8, and I've been a passionate magician since I was 8. But religion played a prominent role in my life for many, many years, and still does. So I earned an undergraduate degree in psychology with the intention of going on to seminary. After I graduated from undergraduate school, and by the way, I'm telling you this because it relates very much to the life of P.T. Barnum and to the profession of magic and to anything that you might want to do from an entrepreneurial point of view or from a dream fulfillment point of view. Folks, we all have dreams, and there is no shortage of people that are waiting to rain on your parade. And so that's why I'm discussing this issue in this context. So I go off to seminary after undergraduate school. I actually met my wife in undergraduate school. We became engaged. We got married. We got married in December after I graduated. In January, we were headed off to Springfield, Missouri. We'd only been married for a day, right? A day. And we're driving together out to Springfield, Missouri. Janice was not a small town person. And she didn't like living in Springfield. I loved living in Springfield. I thought it was fantastic. Of course, I was going to school, and she was working, and it was a much more difficult experience for her than it was for me, I have to admit. But we were 3.5 years out there, and I earned my MDiv, my Master's of Divinity degree. Came back, and I mean, I'm in my 20s, my mid-early 20s. I really didn't know anything about perseverance. I didn't know anything about what it really took to be a success at anything. I mean, I'd had successes and I'd had disappointments and I'd done various things, but they just don't teach that in college. They don't really teach you that overcoming obstacles is the pathway to success. So I met with a number of obstacles when I returned home from Missouri. One thing my wife and I agreed on is that we didn't want to be just anywhere in the country. Now that would have made my task infinitely easier if I could have sent my resume anywhere in the country. But I was restricted to the Mid-Atlantic region, East Coast. So I'm applying in the Mid-Atlantic region. And I remember there was a district headquarters down in Virginia. And my wife and I went down there one day to meet with the district leaders to see what opportunity there was in our home district. And a district leader told me, in essence a bishop, told me, it's not about it's not about what you know or how talented you are. It's about who you know. And you don't know anyone, so opportunities for you are not going to be plenteous. To me now, as an idealistic person going out to Missouri, I felt I was called to do this. In other words, I felt like God was leading me to do it. And so I kind of expected things would fall into place. And one thing I didn't expect was that someone who claims to be a representative of God is going to tell you that it's all about politics. You know, so I was not only disappointed in the fact that there was no opportunity, but I was having a moment. You know, I was having a moment because everything I believed about my tradition at that point was being challenged. Because what I was being told was that the people who are prominent because of the connections they had as opposed to their merit. So that caused a little bit of a crisis for me. But for my wife, it was devastating. I remember driving home from Missouri, and she was crying. she was weeping in the seat next to me, and I did not know how to console her. We had invested 3.5 years, the first 3.5 years of our married life, out in Missouri, earning a Master's of Divinity so that we'd qualify for this career. And it was evident to us as we drove home from that meeting that this career wasn't going to happen. So, you know, so I got home from that meeting, and I set myself to recreating a career, which was difficult. I mean, I had an undergraduate degree in psychology. I had a Master's of Divinity. What do you do? I mean, who you go to? I ended up being a sales manager for a publishing company. What a fantastic job that was. Here's how it happened. I read the guy's book. He had a book on job interviewing. I read the guy's book, went to the job interview, used the techniques he outlined in the book, and when he asked me about it, I said, yeah, I read your book. He was so impressed that he gave me the job. So I got a job as a sales manager. I continued to look for a ministerial opportunity, by the way. and I got one. I got an opportunity. Even though I didn't have connections, even though I didn't know anyone, I sent the resumes out. I continued to send the resumes out. I remember sending them to Louisiana. At this point, I was willing to work anywhere in the country. Now, forget about the Eastern Seaboard. I was going to go anywhere there was opportunity. So I sent a resume, and the church calls, and they said, you know, we're interested in interviewing you. Do you have children? I've been asked that question quite a bit, by the way, in ministerial interviews. Do you have children? It's like it's really important to people who are making the decision. And most of the time they want you to have children because, I don't know, but for some reason they think it's important that you have kids. So I didn't have kids, and I said, no, I don't. And he said, well, that's good, because the last pastor had a child and a gator crawled off with it. And gator crawled, I mean, it was right on the bayou, and they had an issue with gators. So they said, well, if you don't have kids, it's a good thing. You'll be able to live in the parsonage without worrying about gators coming and get your kids. And that's a true story, folks. That is a true story. So I told Janice about that opportunity. She wasn't interested, so we didn't actually go down to pursue that. But I had another opportunity here locally. This was down in the D.C. area, too. Don't remember the name of the church, but I'd sent in a resume, and they were impressed. Okay, they were impressed. So they were impressed with my background, experience, and so on. And so they called me down for an interview. Now, bear in mind, we had never met face-to-face. I had just been corresponding with them. And this was back in the days before email. So it was snail mail. It was in the early 80s. So they invite me down for a Sunday. They want me to participate in the service, and then afterward, the board's going to convene, and they're going to interview me. So I go down. I attend church. I'm with my wife now, and it's after the service, and we're called back, and we're supposed to meet with the board. So here I am. If you can picture this, okay, and I've done this a number of times since. I remember I was interviewing for a ministerial position in a Methodist church, and the same deal. So this is not an uncommon situation. You're sitting in a chair, and there's a There's a long table, and there might be 15 people sitting on the other side of this table facing you, and you're in this chair. So this was the situation, and I could, every one of those people up there on that board were looking at my resume, and they were looking at me, and I could tell that something was wrong, not just for one, but for every one of them. And I couldn't figure out what it was. I mean, what had I said? Maybe I was dressed inappropriately. I don't know. So finally, this guy looks up to me, and he says, based on your resume, bear in mind, based on your resume, we thought you would be taller. Yeah, I'm 5'4". I'm 125 pounds. I'm not a big guy, I'm not a big guy. Now, people, if I said to you, there is prejudice in our culture against short people. If you're a tall person, you're going to say you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. I am telling you, I have been discriminated against on the basis of height many, many times. But this time, now bear in mind, this was within fair proximity to that meeting we had in Virginia, where we were told it's not about what you know, it's not about your qualifications, it's about your connections. Now that might be true generally in business, but it was disappointing to hear that it was also true in the church. So bear in mind, we're fairly close to that. This is after that had happened. And now my wife and I are sitting there and we're being told that we're too short for the job. So, here's what's going on in my mind. If this church, the whole church, the representative of the church, not just one person, but this entire board of directors, if they're sitting there telling me that I'm too short, do I really want to serve this population? Is this what I want my life to represent? So it wasn't that I gave up on a dream. It's that I gave up on those people. And I went and I did something else. So I ended up becoming a youth pastor not once but twice over. And I ended up teaching adults for over 15 years. And that was good. Now, my belief system changed, and I had to leave that particular denomination because I started believing things that they teach against. So it's just not appropriate to continue in a denomination, particularly in leadership, when you no longer share the convictions that the denomination has. So I willfully removed myself, and now I still attend church, but somewhere else, and I've devoted the rest of my life to magic. Now, I've taken a number of passes at magic. I told you about one, and you might recall this was this is shortly after I had that interview, and I was told that I was too short to be their pastor. So the whole, I mean, there's never been a moment in my life when I haven't been doing magic, where I haven't been doing shows, and so. And it's always been a passion for me, not just something I do. It is a core passion. So, I'm evaluating my life now. I have a good job. There's nothing wrong with my career, nothing wrong with my income, but it's a question of satisfaction. What do I really want to do? And, I made the decision, okay, I'm not comfortable pursuing a ministerial career, but I do want to pursue a magical career. So I'm headed toward a magical career now. I'm cultivating shows. I'm building up my show. I'm doing everything possible to get to the place where I am a professional magician. And I think at this point, Denny Haney, I'm not sure if he has his own shop. I think maybe he's a touring magician at this point. He's a professional. He's getting gobs of money per show. And by the way, when people begin to demand you, when they want you, not a magician, when they want you, that's when your fee can go up. And that's when you can actually make a living, because they want you. And it takes a little while to get there. But Denny was there. And Denny was doing well. I'm pretty sure this was before he opened his shop. But we were good friends. He was my mentor. He was my teacher. And so I was convinced that, my wife was a little bit unsure. She was unsure about this career choice. She was concerned about whenever you make a choice to leave a day job, which is 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, and you got a paycheck coming in, and now you're going to live on the basis of gigs. And people do this all the time. I mean, if you're a landscaper, you're a gig economist. If you are a freelance writer, you're working on gigs. So if you're an actor, you're gigs. It's all about gigs. So and she was naturally concerned about where the gigs are going to come from, and are they going to be consistent, and is the income going to be consistent? Well, it's not. It's up and it's down, and it's up and it's down, and that's kind of the way gig economies work. But I thought that Denny could give her the benefit of his experience, and that it would help reassure her, and that's the reason why I set up the meeting. And what I didn't expect was what he told us at the meeting. So we get together, and he says to us, Dave, he says, I think that you got it in you to do it, he said, but I think you can do both. I think you can continue your day job and continue to get the gigs. And he said, I just wouldn't recommend that you leave the day job right now. Now, I was thinking, if I leave the day job, I can devote all my time and attention to cultivating leads and gigs, and I can do this. But then he backed me up, and he said, I don't think you ought to do it. I don't think you ought to do it. And I was flabbergasted, because just like the guy telling me that it's not what you know, it's who you know, just like the guy telling me that you're too short, I got my friend and mentor, the only professional magician that I know intimately, telling me, don't do it. So it really backed me up, and it derailed that ambition for a while. And I'm telling you this because your best friends, your closest associates, your most intimate partners are going to tell you can't. They told P.T. Barnum the same thing. They tell everyone the same thing. You can't. And if you listen to them, you won't. So this is why P.T. Barnum's story is so important. Because it says, no, I'm going to pursue my dream. I'm going to make it happen. And that's what you need to succeed. Everybody who succeeds knows that, knows it. So you need to know it too. And that's why this story is so important. P.T. Barnum, folks. This is P.T. Barnum right here. Let me read to you a couple of his quotes. Actually, a lot of his quotes. I got them back here written on the card. The noblest art is that of making others happy. These are all P.T. Barnum quotes. No one ever made a difference by being like everybody else. You are a unique person. There is no one else in the world exactly like you. And I got some news for you. There is demand for who you are. There is demand for who you are. You are a unique person, you have unique gifts, and the world needs your gift. Don't ever forget that. People will tell you it's not true. People will tell you that your gift isn't valid. That is not true. When you get out there and you are the person you were born to be, and you start representing who you were supposed to be, people are going to gravitate to it, and you will be successful. Unless a man enters upon a vocation intended for him by nature, and best suited to his peculiar genius, he cannot succeed. You get that? Whatever you do, do it with all your might. Work at it, if necessary, early and late, in season and out of season, not leaving a stone unturned, and never deferring for a single hour that which can be done just as well right now. The old proverb is full of truth and meaning. Whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well. Your signature goes on everything you do. Make sure it is the very best you can present. Many a man acquires a fortune by doing his business thoroughly, while his neighbor remains poor for life because he only half does it. Ambition, energy, industry, perseverance are indispensable requisites for success in business. Be cautious and bold. I don't care what the newspapers say about me as long as they spell my name right. The old adage goes, get out there and get publicity if you're in show business. No publicity is bad publicity. That's the way it goes. In other words, if your name is out there, it's out there, right? Comfort is the enemy of progress. Comfort is the enemy of progress. Fortune always favors the brave. P.T. Barnum. P.T. Barnum. At the age of 61, he founded the Barnum and Bailey Circus, and the circus ran from 1871 until 2017. What a legacy. Now let me tell you this, I'm going to quote now from USA Today. And I'm going to let you make your own conclusions about this quote. Field Entertainment, owner of the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, said in a statement that the show will end its 146-year run in May. This is not 2017. The iconic circus declined in recent years due to high operating costs and long, costly legal battles with animal rights groups, such as the ones to eliminate elephant acts. Legal battles. The Barnum and Bailey Circus, folks. Okay, so, The Greatest Showman. So I see this film earlier, I guess it was last week, and I am so touched that I'm telling you, I'm having an emotional experience watching the film. The music is fantastic. The acting is fantastic. The story is fantastic. And if you are an entertainment person, if you are a performing artist, this will give you the boost you need, folks. You are dealing with a headwind, aren't you? People are telling you you can't. You're facing rejection. You know, I mean, I'll tell you what. Right now I'm losing more gigs than I'm getting, and that's discouraging. But I am getting the gigs, and they're moving up. I'm getting to where I need to be. But I needed this shot in the arm. I really did. And The Greatest Showman will encourage you. That's why I'm sharing it with you. I want you, whatever your endeavor might be. Maybe you're not a magician. Maybe you're a writer. Maybe you're an actor. Maybe you're a singer. Maybe you're a musician. Whatever it is that you do, this film will lift you up and give you inspiration to keep moving. That's what you got to do. You got to keep moving. It was released December 8, 2017. It was inspired by the life of P.T. Barnum, arguably the greatest showman, and it's a musical. So I love musicals personally, but the music, it just fits. The songs fit. Nothing is like, oh, it's time for a song sort of thing, like a lot of musicals do. It's like, but everything really works incredibly well. The lyrics of the song really support the narrative that's going on. So it's just utterly fantastic. I loved it. So Hugh Jackman is the star. He plays P.T. Barnum. Zac Efron plays his partner. And there's this young actress named Zendaya. Zendaya, that's her name, Zendaya. And she was just brilliant. So Zendaya is sort of an acrobatic artist in the film. This is her character here in the center. So it was magnificent. We were born, folks. We were born to achieve. We were born for greatness. We were born to realize our dreams, whatever those dreams might be. You know, my mother said, I said, Mom, if you could do anything in the world and you knew absolutely that you would not fail, anything at all, what would it be? And she said, I would cook for my boys. That's what she loved to do. She loved to make food and serve it and have her family enjoy it. And that was her life. And that gave her the greatest joy. And I share that with you because ambition doesn't have to be great. Ambition's always great in and of itself. But you don't have to aspire to be famous. You don't have to aspire to... You know, my aspiration is to make a living performing magic. I don't necessarily want to be the next David Copperfield. I don't. I just want to make an honest living doing what I love to do. So it's... Your dream doesn't have to be huge, but it's your dream. And you were born to do it. Now the minute you declare, I have a dream, and I want to do this, the minute you do that, you're going to face 3 types of obstacles. The first is going to be fear from within you. You're going to say, maybe I'm just not cut out for this, you know, maybe I'm just not right. Maybe those other people do it so much better than me, and maybe I'll just stay here and not do anything. You know, fear. Fear is a horrible thing. It binds your hands and it binds your legs so that you cannot move. And you know, faith and love are the things that overcome fear. Faith in yourself, faith in your God, and love for your fellow man. I have a gift. You have a gift. And your fellow human being needs your gift. It's kind of selfish to not offer it, you know? So get out there and do it. Get out there and give it. Give it. Overcome the fear and give it. The second obstacle you face is from society. The vast majority of the people in the world are actually not living their dream. On an intuitive, visceral level inside, they know it, and they're dying inside. They're dying inside. And so when somebody starts to blaze that trail, one of 2 things are going to happen. Society's going to reach out and try to swat them down because it's a challenge to the way that they're living. Or they're going to say, you know what, you're just one of those special people. You know, the life of dreams is not for special people. It's for everyday people. It's for everybody. Everybody has a dream. Everybody has something that they want to devote their lives to that will give them life back. Everybody does. And everybody deserves to be it and do it and live it. And the third thing that you'll deal with is resources. Resources. Time and money. Time and money. It was Robert Schuller who used to say, you never have a money problem, you have an idea problem. This is the guy that used to preach on a drive-in parking lot. A drive-in parking lot. And he got this idea. He said, you know what? I'm going to sell a panel of glass. a panel of glass. You donate, and I'm going to put your name on the bottom of that panel, and we're going to build a crystal cathedral. And so he builds a crystal cathedral, selling one panel of glass at a time. An idea. And he didn't have a mortgage. It was paid for. You don't have a resources problem. You have an idea problem. Martha Stewart, I've referred to her a number of times. She writes a fantastic book about being an entrepreneur. And she says, you know, you start where you are. And you keep reinvesting your profits. So you can't buy the show that you want right now. Or whatever it is. Maybe you're not the showman. Maybe you're somebody else. But you might not be able to afford the education, or you might not be able to afford the props, or you might not be able to afford the music lessons, or whatever it is. Start where you are. Just get moving. Reinvest back into the show, and it will grow over time. It will get to where you want to be. Don't let resources stand in your way. And don't go into debt either. Be smart, be intelligent, build your show nice and slowly, and you will get there. You need to stay focused on your vision. You need a clear vision. What is it that you want to do? I have a very clear vision in my head of where I want magic to be in the next year, in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years. I have a very clear vision of where I want that to go. You need to keep that vision in the forefront of your mind. I have at my office, I have a what's called a vision chart. And it's a very visual thing because I'm a visual person. And there are several representations of magic and illusion on that chart, reminding me every single moment of every single day where I'm going and what I need to accomplish. You need to stay motivated. Stay motivated. Don't get discouraged. And this is the kind of thing that can help you do that. You know, tune into Arnold Schwarzenegger on YouTube. Listen to his motivational talks. Tune into Sylvester Stallone. Listen to his talks, you know. Everybody told Sylvester Stallone that he wasn't going to make it. He wasn't going to make it. And, you know, his story is amazing. And so you need to listen to what Sylvester Stallone has to say. You need to listen to what Arnold Schwarzenegger has to say. Watch this movie and watch what the choices that he made and the challenges that he faced. Stay focused. Stay motivated. And stay positive and optimistic. Believe that you can. Believe that you will get there. Stay optimistic. Stay positive. Keep working. Work hard. Work every day. And you will get there, folks. This is it right here. The Greatest Showman. You will be delighted with the music. You'll be delighted with the acting, the production quality, and more important and most importantly, you will be inspired. You will be encouraged. You will go out and you will fight for your dream, and that's what I want you to do, folks. I hope you're enjoying these. Please comment below. Please subscribe. We're going to go on this journey together, you and I. I'm going to be making these contributions every single week, and I will see you next time. You have a great week. Take care.